I need to fix this screen so I can see the outline. Okay, that's good. All right, so what that means is we're pretty much ready to go if you want to go.
Go.
Welcome to the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast. We are here to podcast about anything and everything Star Wars with you. Please visit our website where you can play current and past episodes. That's https://RABR KyleJohansson.us. That's RABR.KyleJohansson.us. On the left-hand side is a navigation menu. You can use this to learn how to load the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast on your Android or Apple phone and tablet. And we have direct links to our podcast on Apple and Google Podcast. Please participate by connecting to our social media, answering questions of the week, or submitting feedback directly from the site. Again, all of these are available at the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room website at RABR.KyleJohansson.us. And now it's time to talk Star Wars. I am Kyle Johansson, and this is Andrew Scott Sutton. Say hello.
Hello.
Hey, I have a question for you before we get too far. What if you turn your phone sideways? Does it change? That's what it looks like. Doesn't rotate. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. So now your picture is bigger because mine is very big because I'm using a different camera, of course. But yours was small and it was skinny. So this is better if you want to look at it on YouTube later. But
Can you? I don't have tape, so I have my, shirt on.
That's all right.
Can you read it at all? If I don't want it.
Sort of. Not really. I can see the Carhartt part though. That's not a sponsor, by the way. Only push this button. Feedback at KyleJohansson.us. That's feedback KyleJohansson.us. That's funny. So we don't really have any feedback, but I wanted to do that because I wanted to encourage people to do some feedback. So there was an email address that was just said. We have that. We have on our website. We have a feedback form you can fill out that'll go to us. We don't collect any data off of that form. We just whatever you submit to us is what we get. We're on YouTube, and YouTube has comments. We also have our questions of the week, and you can make comments in there too as well if you want to say more than just answer the question. So those are our feedback options. And of course, you can call up Scott at this number 816-544-2224. That's a fake number. All right. All right. So let's get into the news. We don't have much news either.
309.
765-309. Okay.
Yeah,
of course. Of course it is. Let's get into the news. It's time for the news. Yeah, so we don't have a lot of news, but the only thing I put in there is, from May 26th to May 29th is Star Wars Celebration, which is the big convention. Yeah, right. They're all doing, and this this is where they have all the panels and they discuss all the stuff and they release new things and you get trailers and all that stuff. So I'm talking about this because there's a lot of exactly. I'd like to go sometime, except it's in California, which there's nothing wrong with California. It's just a ways away. So they're having all kinds of panels. There'll be a Bad Batch panel. There'll be an Ahsoka panel. There'll be a Obi-Wan Kenobi panel. All those things. And we're hoping during this 26th through 29th, starting on Scott's birthday through the 29th, that they'll be releasing some more concrete information on when all these shows are starting. And of course, we're going to hear all kinds of juicy news from about the different shows and stuff during that celebration. But I wanted to mention that because that's why we're in such a drought. Is they're waiting to release all the good information then. Of course, like Scott was kind of referring, celebration is like the Star Trek convention, but it's a Star Wars convention instead.
Oh, you
It
just said
happened.
the evil word.
Yeah, yeah. Or Comic Con, but all the geeks get together with their fake lightsabers and helmets and stuff, and have all kinds of fun. And of course, there's tons of vendors and whatever. Anyway, that's the news thing that I want to talk about. The news. Yeah. So let's do our first commercial of our new commercial sponsor. Are you planning your next trip to Tatooine? Well, come on down to Pelly's Mod and Repair Shop, where our droids will spruce up your wagon. We'll service just about anything from Starfighter Corellian Y1300 freighter to a Vespa hovering scooter. If we don't have the part, we can get it. If you qualify for our special program, we'll provide you with any part our Jawas can get. Well, that's right. Come on down to Pelly's Mod and Repair Shop, where we can store fuel and upgrade your vessel. We're located at Tatooine's Mos Eisley Spaceport, Hangar 35. There we go. All right. And of course, we wouldn't be reminiscent without doing this.
Grass.
Spoiler alert. Danger. You're about to be spoiled. This is your spoiler alert. We're about to talk candidly and explicitly about some
Star
TV
Wars
shows or movies.
Star Wars.
If you have not watched them, please fast forward to the appropriate section. You will not be warned again because you will be spoiled.
Spoiled. All right. Almost over. Okay, so we talked earlier. We're reviewing Bad Batch. Yeah, it's red though. It's not. I had an orange shirt on yet at work the other day, and it was a lot brighter.
Need your safety safe vest on.
Yeah, I do. All right, so we're reviewing Bad Batch episode 12, Rescue on Ryloth, and episode 13, Infested. Let's get started on Rescue on Ryloth. So the first scene is called Traitor of Ryloth. We start out with Vice Admiral Rampart and Captain Howzer. I'm going through a detention block. They are holding Cham and Alina Syndulla, which, that's Hera's parents. Rampart mocks Cham, saying that he was considered the liberator of Ryloth, but now is a traitor attempting to assassinate Liberator. Senator Orn Free Jaw. So, if you remember, we're coming back from the previous episode where at the end, Orn Free Jaw was shot, and they have arrested these two as traitors to the to Ryloth. And Cham says he won't believe the Empire's lies, and Rampart believes that he will turn him against them easily. And he starts making a plea to Alini to, because he doesn't want to, if once he finds Hera, he doesn't want to hurt her. He wants Alini to, bow down to him so he can have her as an ally and not have to do anything bad to her daughter. and Rampart leaves, and Howzer gives him a kind of a look of concern. And Rampart then orders Howzer to scour the planet and arrest all of Cham Syndulla's supporters. And this is where we start to see Howzer kind of questioning Admiral Rampart. He says that those people are not insurgents; they have not committed no crime. And Rampart kind of tells them that they're a menace, and that's hopefully gonna rile up Cham and Weenie so that they give them the location of Hera.
Yeah, because they're just what bringing all the people in and scanning them or something like that, right?
Well, that and Rampart. Who knows? Rampart could have some of them killed. You know, he's not the nicest guy. You know. Okay. And Howzer also questions Rampart about how Orin Free Tall was shot at, because he didn't think it was one of Cham's fighters. He thought it was someone else. And Rampart says you can't prove anything about that, so let's go with what I have come up with, which is he's blaming the insurgents of Cham's group.
Yeah, what's his name did it?
Yeah, we know. We saw Crosshair actually make the shot, and when Rampart nodded his head in the previous episode, that's when we saw Crosshair make the shot. Correct. So, and then we see Chopper kind of roll out from behind some crates near one of the buildings at the complex where everybody's at. And that brings us to the next scene where in the mountains above the family residence, Hera is communicating with Chopper. And she's basically telling him where to go and to avoid the stormtroopers and the elite troopers, so that Chopper doesn't get caught. And then we see she sees Crosshair in the macro binoculars is what they call them, and that brings us into a scene with Crosshair, and Crosshair saying that there's no sign of Hera to be found. She may have fled the planet. But he also doesn't think she would have left without her parents. This is where we see Hera tell Chopper that she has a new plan, and to meet at the base to send out a transmission. So they're going to send out some sort of message. And we cut to the Marauder. Omega is attempting to fix the Gonki droid. Something's wrong with his power source, because he's not fully charging. And Hunter tells her he can't be fixed as he is a defective unit, just like the rest of them, is what Tech says.
That's so insulting.
And Omega reassures the droid that he's not the only defective one around. And that's when Tech tells Hunter that they're receiving a recorded transmission from an unrecognized frequency. And they put it on a screen, a hologram appears, and Hera is asking Omega to come help her save her parents. They've been captured by the Empire. And she gives some coordinates, and
got something on that. That when I was rewatching it the other day, I think I'm about to that point right now. Anyway, it's so flashback to New Hope,
Yeah,
Leia and R2.
yeah, that's kind of the
I
same
actually
kind of
put
scene, isn't it?
I actually put those same damn words because she was kneeling and all that crap.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty close to the same scene, and of course, and very reminiscent of New Hope. Of course, Chopper's a little different, but so after they listen to the report off the channel, the Bad Batch team kind of debates to take it seriously or not, because they think that children often overreact. The situation may not be as dire as they say, but Omega comes back with why not? Isn't that what soldiers do? To help people.
That's what soldiers do, yeah. And Hunter gets
That's what
that look on his face like,
he's like.
she
He's
got
like,
me there.
she got me there, yeah. So then we see the Marauders drop out of hyperspace over Ryloth. They head into a canyon area and land in a platform cave. They come out and they're greeted by Chopper, and then Hera jumps out of hiding too, after Chopper kind of checks them out, I guess.
He runs down the
Yeah,
ramp or whatever that is. It's like wah, 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 wah.
yeah. Chopper's a little crazy. Hunter asks why the Empire is after her and have arrested her father. And Hunter looks unconvinced about her story, and Hera offers to pay them to free her parents. And then Hunter agrees to hear the story, but offers no guarantees. And then we see the Bad Batch back up in the mountain area where Hera was before, overlooking the complex that they live in or whatever. And this is where we cut to a scene where Rampart addresses the citizens of Ryloth, telling them they're responsible. Those responsible for the attack on the senator will be detained, and that Orin Free will make a full recovery. Omega sees Crosshair in the city, and Hunter and Echo and Wrecker step back to discuss it out of earshot of Hera and Omega. Yeah. Wrecker wants to fly in and blow things up. Of course, that's what Wrecker does. But Echo says, "Hey, the scanners will pick up the ship, and we'll be outnumbered pretty quickly." They're saying the number of troop is similar to what they saw in Raxus in a recent episode we watched. And this is a military occupation, not a they're not there to help. It looks like an occupation, and we see one of those probe droids hovering, and Hunter hears it somehow, and says he'll be right back, and we see him stab the droid right in that little weird eye socket thing, which kills it.
I guess that's the only way you can kill it.
Yeah. Of course, the bad thing about those probe droids is they're always transmitting, so we know that somebody's going to see some of that footage. And then we see they go back to the place where they landed this ship at. Hunter's telling Hera that he can't help her, especially now that the surprise element is gone with the probe droid and everything. The Empire will be expecting an attack, and they have already increased security. That's when Hera offers to pay him double. And Hunter says, well, that many credits will mean nothing if we're all dead. They offer to take Hera off board, but rescuing their parents is not worth the risk. And Hera responds, of course, not to you, which means that it matters to her, and she walks off, followed by Chopper. This is where Omega again intercedes and tries to, get them to change their mind. She tells Hunter that being strategic means knowing your limitations, and she replies that Hera is trying to protect her family, and that Hunter would do the same for his. Which, of course, again, Hunter then realizes that she was making sense. She got me again. And then we cut to a scene in the city where Rampart tells Howzer that arresting some of Champ's supporters is not good enough. He wants them all. And Howzer is concerned that arresting innocent citizens will provoke an uprising. But Rampart says they should all be arrested too, and peace has its costs. As they enter the Vice Admiral's office, Crosshair is already waiting for them. He throws a data pad on the desk and announces that Clone Force 99 was spotted near the capital. And Rampart says that he already has a battalion of troopers, but Crosshair tells him that's not enough, given what they're capable of. Rampart still doesn't believe Crosshair when he says that they're more than capable of handling just about anything that Rampart would throw at him.
Crosshair's kind of just, he's getting there where he's just possessed and self-determined too.
Yeah, he's getting a little, maybe obsessed with him, I guess is what a better word, maybe. And we hear Rampart says that he'll assign someone who can take care of him since Crosshair can't seem to do it. And we get Crosshair giving a Howzer a little look too. So the next scene is called a rescue plan, and we see Chopper talking to Hera, and she says she doesn't want to hear a lecture, and that Hunter is the one that's giving up on her. And then we see Omega come over and talk to her, and Omega tells Hera that Hunter means well. And she asks why she should trust Hunter so much. And Omega says that he's her brother, and so is the rest of the squad. And she tells Hera that Hunter will come around and they will come up with a strategy, and Hera knows Ryloth better than any of them. Then we switch back to the city. Howzer is visiting Cham and Alli at the detention block, and Cham is kind of telling Howzer that he doesn't approve of how he's acting. And Howzer says they attacked an Imperial convoy. What did you expect? And Alli says, well, they were also protecting Hera. And this is where Howzer kind of looks around to see if anybody's watching or listening, and says that's what he's trying to do also. And he begs them to give up Hera's location so he can protect her, but they don't believe him. With Cham saying basically that he doesn't trust him anymore at all. At the Syndulla house, Hera and Omega are outlining a plan. One squad will attack the Imperial refinery on the outskirts of the city, drawing reinforcements away so the other team can rescue her parents. Because they know that if they attack the refinery, which is actually a front for something else, it's probably a military base of some sort, that they'll move a bunch of troops over there to protect the base.
They'll get a really good response.
Echo asks what their defenses are, and Hera tells them about 5 unmanned perimeter cannons, which can be disabled by Chopper at the command console. Hunter agrees, telling Hera that Omega that her telling Hera and Omega to back up Chopper while he disables the cannons. Tech and Wrecker will attack the refinery while he and Echo scale the capital walls and rescue the Syndullas. And that's our plan going forward. And we start off focusing on Omega and Hera talking to Chopper about, so he can avoid the different patrols of troopers. And he ends up finding a group of droids that are going into the base, and they're going through a scan process. So he follows them, and then he jumps away and goes around and hides away from them.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And comes back in after they've all been scanned. So he kind of sneaks in that way. All right, and droids breaks in away. Command. He electrocutes an Imperial astromech droid at the console and tries to access the network. However, Chopper cannot find the access to the cannons, and the droid is soon cornered by 2 clone troopers. Of course, Hera wants to help Chopper. And Omega says they will, but first they need to take the console offline. When Hera asks how to do that, Omega points at one of the Imperial Rogue class transport shuttles and reminds Hera that she wants to be a pilot. And Omega leads the way.
Yeah, that's a weird ship.
Yeah, that's a different kind of ship. It's almost like actually the ship we see in Rebels. It's almost like the Ghost ship.
Yeah. Their cockpit is high and up front. And it's like
exactly.
Wow.
Almost. It kind of. I thought when they first were getting in there, we're getting into like one of those walkers or whatever because it was so high up, like you said. But anyway, and Hunter and Echo are scaling the capital wall. They take out a few sentries. And Omega and Hera get into the shuttle. Tech asks Omega if Chopper has disabled the cannons, and Omega replies that she and Hera are working on it and warns them not to shoot down their shuttle. Hera fires up the shuttle and struggles to control the ship, going back and forth, zigzagging.
Chopper electrocutes the two troopers, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, Chopper's always doing that kind of thing. It's pretty funny. And then Hera uses the shuttle to shoot out the command console, which explodes and triggers a bunch of explosions. And we see Chopper fire up his thrusters so he can get on board the shuttle that they're on. They fly away, and Tech inquires about the explosions at the refinery, and Omega confirms that they have taken the weapons down, and the Marauder descends on the undefended refinery. While Tech flies the shuttle, Wrecker uses the Marauder weapon systems to take out the gun emplacements, and clone troopers are calling for reinforcements, just as planned.
There's a blinky light on what's his name's desk. Blinky.
Yeah. Captain Howzer tells Rampart that the refinery is under attack, and he offers Rampart a deal, but Rampart insists on handling the attack and orders himself, and he wants Howzer to guard the capital. Meanwhile, Hunter and Echo stun the sentries guarding the Syndulla's cell and free Chan and Leany and Gobi, the brother, right? Brother of Alina, I think is good. He's surprised to see the Bad Batch again. He's like, "Oh, you're the guys that sold the weapons to me a couple episodes ago."
Yeah.
And Gobi says he didn't hire him. And Hunter replies that Hera hired them. And Cham's like, "What?"
What?
Cham asks if Hera is safe, and he kind of indicates that she is.
Well,
Yeah, kind of.
The ship.
Yeah, she's flying this shuttle around. Tech tells her that her dangerous and uncontrolled maneuvers is confusing both him and the Imperial troopers. And I guess that's kind of his way of joking about her bad flying. At the Capitol, Crosshair accompanies several clone troopers and an elite squad heading towards the refinery. And Crosshair tells his troops to stop because he's realized that Clone Forces 99 is making a distraction. And he orders them to come back and that they're going to come out this particular door of the Capitol building.
Because it's their only way out.
It's their only way out, right? Well, at least that's what we think, or he thinks, right?
But yeah, but I thought the his troops got on the ships and the ships left, and he went.
And all the other ones did.
Spot.
Him and some of the troops stayed behind, right? Because that's who follows around the entrance exit. They're coming out, and we see how
Howzer's.
Yeah, and we see Howzer watching Crosshair from the balcony above, and he walks back inside the complex, and we see Hunter and Echo escorting the Syndullas down the corridors. Crosshair's troops form up outside again and get ready because Crosshair says they're coming out any minute. Hunter and Echo come down the entrance to the doorway, and Howzer is there to warn them that they're walking into a trap. He removes his helmet and tells them that there's a squad waiting outside. And Gobi doesn't really trust Howzer still. Howzer insists that he's on their side and what the Empire is doing is wrong. And he says he'll face the troops outside because he wants to convince them of the same. And Hunter and Echo find a different exit through a ship that Alli has. Oh, it's Senator Tall's ship, so they're going to steal that ship in the hangar.
Yeah, that's right. I was wondering whose ship that was.
Yeah, it's Senator Tall's. And as they leave, Cham puts his hand on Howzer's shoulder and reassures him that Howzer will fight again for Ryloth. And he vows to return. Alli invites Howzer to come along, but he says that the Empire will know he's defected, and they don't need the Empire looking for them and Howzer at the same time. And he goes out and tells he tells the free Ryloth fighters, Hunter and Echo, leave on the ship, different direction, and Howzer is prepared for the Imperials outside. And later, Hunter updates Tech on their escape plan, and Tech is relieved since they are being pursued by multiple vessels. Crosshair is outside, ready to move in, stays in position since insists they're on their way out. And then Howzer comes out the door by himself and starts to speak to the clone troopers and tells them, hey, listen to me. I'm your brother. You are doing the wrong thing. And if you agree with me, throw your weapons down. They have been sworn to protect the citizens of Ryloth from the separatists, and that has succeeded. And what they're doing now with the Empire is wrong. And and we see several of them throw down their blasters. And we see Crosshair looking from above in a balcony. And he orders one of the he orders one of the troops to arrest them all. And we see the ship fly off in the background, and Crosshair tries to shoot it down with his sniper rifle.
Pew, 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 pew.
And he also recognizes the Marauder that Hunter and them are in. And realizes that he's been swindled, he's been tricked again. And this is where we see Captain Howzer and all of them are arrested and handcuffed, and they're led away. And we come back to Ord Mantell with the Bad Batch, and it lands in a hangar. And Cham Syndulla and his free Ryloth fighters and Alli pay a visit. But Hunter tells him that she offers to pay them for the money that Hera told him about. And he says to keep their money because they'll need it where they're going. And Hunter adds that these occupations are happening all on other worlds as well. Cham says they have fought the last war, but his people need them now more than ever. And Cham says that he will organize and be returning to Ryloth sometime in the future. Alli calls for her daughter, and her daughter says Echo or Tech just taught her how to scramble the ship's signature. And Alli is impressed and hopes that she'll be able to take care of that when they leave. And then we see Hera and Omega say goodbye to each other. Omega is sad that her friend's leaving, and Hera promises to see her again and tells Omega to keep an eye on her brothers and thanks her for believing in her. They hug it out, of course. And back at the refinery, we see Vice Admiral Rampart speaking to Crosshair, and Rampart admits that he underestimated the Bad Batch and wishes that they were fighting for the Empire instead of against him. And this is where Crosshair requests formal permission to hunt down the Bad Batch, and Vice Admiral Rampart agrees, and Crosshair gets a weird kind of smile on his face as Rampart walks away. And that ends the credit scenes. So here we go. Our question for that episode of the week is, will the Bad Batch see the Syndullas again? And I think because they said that they will, they probably will, but if I remember right, we don't see them in this season anymore. That's for sure.
No.
So I think maybe in season 2 they might, because if we know our history, Hera ends up being the leader, one of the leaders of the Rebel Alliance. Not necessarily the same leader as Leia is of the entire Alliance, but she is high up in the troops. So.
But she gets big.
And that was a kind of a long episode. It was there was a lot in there, I guess.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was nice to see Hera and how she was when she was a kid and all that stuff.
It put Hunter like twice or 3 times back in his place. Like,
exactly
what the mission was, because they're soldiers. Soldiers.
Omega did that. Yeah. Omega is becoming a strong member of the team from that. She has say, and they listen to her now. And again, they didn't leave her anywhere, so she must be with the guys all the time, which kind of answers my question from a couple weeks ago: is did she win the game of cards against Hunter? I think she did.
Yeah.
I think she did. All right, so let's get into the next episode. Episode 13, Infested. Before we do that, we need to play this here.
We are proud to welcome our latest sponsor, Juan's Cantina, where every first week of the month on the standard galactic calendar, we celebrate what the ancients call Cinco de Mayo. Come join us at Juan's for the food, mariachi music, and 34 flavors of margaritas. That's Juan's Cantina right next to the Hangar 94 of Mos Eisley Spaceport. On day 2 of the week is Taco Tuesday.
Olé!
Those are half a credit each and enjoyed with our house margaritas. Juan's Cantina also serves the galactically famous Dos Camarones Azul Cerveza, imported directly from Kessel. Thank you again for our latest sponsor, Juan's Cantina.
Yeah. So there's that.
Now I'm hungry.
Me too. I was actually hungry before we started this thing, but makes me hungrier. We actually had Mexican. That's where I was texting you about the softball game. We were at a Mexican restaurant. It's a place that moved locations, and they've been closed for like 6 months. And while they were remodeling the building they were moving to, and it was pretty good.
Which one?
It's called crap. You would ask me that. I don't. There's so many different ones, you know.
I know.
It's not Los Compadres because that's the one that took their building that they were in.
Just the one that burned across from Walmart?
No. That's something else. Anyway, it's Amy likes it. We used to order quite a bit through DoorDash when we couldn't go out very often because of the pandemic from them, and they had some pretty good stuff that we would get. I don't know though. Honestly, I think I like the Los Camaraderies or whatever they are that took over their old space because I think they've got better stuff, but that's a different story. I'm making you hungrier, so I don't want to do that. So episode 13, Infested. The first scene is called the Gangster, and we see the Marauder ascend on Ord Mantell, and they land, complaining about the mission, of course, and how Echo wants them to pay well for this mission, and this is where we hear that Sid failed to mention the drop zone was swarming with gundarks, which I don't know what those are, and there's no link or anything in the Wikipedia to them. Hold on a second, maybe I can find it real quick.
You talking about who took over the bar? Who took over the bar?
No, this is the mission that they just got back from, and there's gundarks are some sort of weird animal thing that have 2 sets of arms, so they got 4 arms and 2 legs. Gundarks are vicious carnivorous desert animals from the planet of Vancor, renowned for their power and ferocity.
Oh, is that what is that? That's what God, Boba Fett choked out.
No, not quite. That was a pretty big thing. These are kind of like I don't know, maybe 5 feet tall. That thing that he choked out was huge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's close though. I mean, it says they have over 16 sharp claws, good hearing and everything. Anyway, they were swarming at the drop zone of their last job, and this is where Tex says that this isn't the first time that Sid hasn't given all the details.
Yeah.
And they're walking through the city and notice again that there's all kinds of armored figures with some weird helmets on. And they walk into the parlor, and it's packed with customers. And they see some Pykes in there. They see all kinds of different people. And Hunter kind of says something about this. When did this place become so popular? The batch tries to get back to Sid's office, and they're confronted by some soldiers, which Hunter throws against the wall, and they force their way into Sid's office, discovering more guards. And a Devorian man tells them that it's rude to barge into someone's office unannounced. Hunter counters that this is not his office, but the Devorian begs to differ.
Now it is.
Omega is shocked to see the guy stroking that pet lizard Ruby. They, acquired a couple episodes ago, and he replies that it's his prized pet. And Omega asks what he's doing with her, and the Devorian replies that he paid Sid and Sid delivered. So we realized that them getting that animal Ruby lizard or whatever it was for this guy. Sid is, and he says that Hunter asks where Sid is, and the Devorian responds by saying that Sid is out, and the parlor and Ordmandel are now his territory. And he offers to hire the Bad Batch if they're looking for work. And Hunter replies that he'll think about it. And they begin walking out of the parlor, and Hunter decides the group should leave Ordmantle, and he tells Tech to prepare the ship while the others gather their supplies. And this is where Omega asks about Sid. What about Sid?
Where's Sid?
And Tech says that Sid has either been eliminated or forced out. But Omega is unwilling to abandon Sid. And just then they hear Sid's voice. And she's up on their ship, already waiting for him. Tells them to come inside so they can talk. Sid explains that the Devorian they met was Roland Durand, a former client of hers and the son of a crime boss, Issa Durand. She explains that Roland was trying to make a name for himself by joining up with a Pykes syndicate. And Hunter asks what he's doing on Ord Mantell, and she explains the planet is connected to multiple hyperspace routes, making it ideal for smuggling. Since her parlor was right in the middle of the action, Roland saw the value and took it. Sid vows to get back her parlor, telling the batch that they are in this together because she is good at keeping secrets. She kind of blackmails them again with the secrets thing.
Yeah.
Tech realizes she's trying to blackmail him, of course. And Sid agrees that she is. Omega appeals to the altruistic side of the troopers and points out that Sid has helped them before and when they needed help, and it's their turn to help her back. And Sid is, of course, supportive, and Hunter accepts Omega's reasoning again. So same thing we saw in the last episode. Omega is changing their minds again.
It seems to be that it seems a little bit of that in every episode.
Yeah, that's what it seems like too.
So, like she did in that one where she is winning all the games by strategy. She's a super strategist.
Yeah, exactly. She's showing her strategy more and more now. And later on, Sid tells Hunter, the Bad Batch, that her sources tell her a buyer is meeting Roland tonight to acquire a shipment of spice that he's storing in her old back office. And Tech realizes that they want to disrupt the supply chain by stealing the shipment and sabotaging the deal. Sid agrees to that and that's what the plan is. She explains that Roland will then be unable to pay, and they'll make him their problem, which means that they'll take care of the problem for them. Sid leads them to a manhole cover, which leads to Ord Mantle's old mining tunnels. And they get on these rail carts underneath the city. And she says that they need to use these to sneak into her parlor. And she tells them, they need to be very quiet. So they're not going to use the engines. They're going to use the hand cranks to transport the spice out of her parlor. Blah blah blah. Motors.
But does she tell him why originally?
No, she doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't tell him. She just says they're too loud and this is a stealth mission. Okay, they travel through the tunnels. They get to a gate, and she warns them not to make a peep when they pass through the doors, since they don't want to wake the hive. She warns that the cavern is infested, has an infestation problem. And Wrecker says they're not afraid of a few bugs. And of course, Sid says they won't be a problem as long as he keeps his trap shut. So Wrecker opens up the gate, and they continue through. They see the tunnels are covered with lots of cobwebs, and they're looking around as they go through. And Wrecker is fumbling around, and he drops his torchlight, creates a lot of noise. And Sid is angry, but Wrecker insists it was an accident, and they just kind of sit. They sit there and listen to the noise as it drops down pitch, and then Hunter tells them to keep moving after nothing happens.
He's such a boss, I swear.
Yeah, exactly. The clones finally reach the end of the tunnel where there's a ladder that leads up to Sid's office. And Tech asks how they will know if Roland is not inside. And Sid says she already has that covered. She activates a comm link button, and one of her friends is in the bar already.
No.
To signal. He walks up and is eating some mantle mix, and he drops several pieces in front of Ruby as Ruby follows and chomps on the pieces that he's left on the ground, leading her outside. And she gets kidnapped by this catch in Bolo is the other guy's name. And then we see that Roland realizes that Ruby is missing and sends out some of his troopers to find her. Bolo contacts Sid to tell her that they should be clear now. And the clones come up the hatch in the back of the parlor. And we see Echo grumbling about the rodents and the mess, and says that at least someone is messier than Wrecker. And then they find 6 crates of spice. Wrecker helps them lower them down. And then we switch back to Roland talking with some of his men, asking if they found Ruby. And they said they can't find her. Ketch tells Bolo to keep Ruby quiet. However, Ruby bites Ketch and he drops the cage and she gets out. Ruby begins to cry and scream, which gets the attention of Roland and his troops. And the two run off as Ruby runs to Roland and kind of rolls over on her back and lets Roland rub her belly. He then tells his enforcers to get Bolo and Ketch. Find those two. Sid warns the Bad Batch they're about out of time as they take the last 2 crates. They rush to seal everything, and just then we see Roland carrying Ruby back into the parlor, assuring the pet that those men won't, that they'll catch the men and he'll kill them. Clones manage to escape. And Roland comes into the storeroom and sees that the doors open and finds that all the spice has been stolen and finds the trap door. They open up the trap door and see that someone's going through the tunnel. The Bad Batch see the enforcers coming down and chasing after them. Of course, the enforcers get into the carts and begin firing. And I think Wrecker actually was firing first before they fired. They're pursuing them. They turn on the engines to the carts and they go pew pew, like you said. Pew pew. You're on mute, Scott. You said pew pew. Sid says their actions are going to awaken the hive. So she says to be quiet. And they travel deeper and deeper, and Sid hears the hive making noises, and she doesn't like the sound of it, because with all the blasting and the banging in together and the guys falling overboard, they've made a lot of noise, and they see a swarm of the winged Erling ascend up the tunnel, prompting Sid to tell the Bad Batch to power up the carts so they can get out of there quicker. The swarm overwhelms the rest of Roland's enforcers, tearing into their flesh and chewing them up. The Bad Batch uses their blasters.
Knocking the cart off they even took the cart off the rail.
Yeah, they knocked the cart off the rail too. The Bad Batch is shooting their blasters at them to try to get rid of them, and they realize that they don't like the light, so they're using also their flashlights to keep the winged predators away from them. And it ends up that the winged things are pulling stuff out of the carts too, so they end up pulling all the spice out, and
goes down the hole.
Goes down the hole a little bit, and that kind of distracts the winged things with enough time for them to get out of the tunnel. You see Wrecker sealing the tunnel, and he cuts one of them in half or something like that with the door. You can see the ooze. You can see the ooze and stuff. And
I just wonder if that ooze, their blood is acid, like it
could be.
Sorry, thanks.
Omega kind of tells them that it's okay. They got rid of the spice, which it was part of the mission. And we see later on, Roland has.
What's her name? She wanted to sell the spice.
Yeah, I think she probably did too. She probably wanted to make money off of it.
Does she had a side deal with the Pykes?
Maybe. She didn't say that though. Maybe. And not too long after that, we see that Roland's enforcers have captured Bolo and Ketch, and they're kind of interrogating him a little bit. And he's upset with them for kidnapping Ruby. And it
didn't seem to take much for one of them to roll over on them.
Yeah, they kind of spilled the beans pretty quick. They're both kind of wimpy in general anyway. It doesn't take much for them to to do anything. And they kind of they weren't trying to hurt Ruby, is what they were saying. Roland demands to know where Sid took his spice, and Bolo says they don't know. And then we see some Pike Syndicate people arrive because it's time for them to pick it up or get their payment. And we have a little confrontation. They usher out Bolo and Ketch, and Roland admits to the Pikes that the spice was stolen, and he promises to get their money, but says they need more time. And that's when the Pike delegate leader tells him that if he cannot deliver as promised, then he is no use to them. And that's when Roland raises his blaster up and says, "Hold on a minute." He says they'll get their money and tells them to return to Obadiah and wait.
Yeah.
The Pikes warn him about threatening them, and if he makes a mistake, they'll take out his entire family.
Pikes don't play.
Pikes don't play. Yeah, they don't play much. Meanwhile, Omega and Sid Omega asks Sid if the parlor is safe, and Sid tells her the Bad Batch and Bolo have reported the Pikes have already come for Roland, and she says they don't take kindly to unpaid debts. When they return to the parlor, she sees several Roland's following enforcers lying on the floor. Sid thinks that her plan worked better than expected. Just then, Roland arrives with the Pikes and identifies Sid and the Bad Batch as the ones who stole the shipment. The Pikes confront Sid and the clones over the theft, and he tells them to return. And in return, they will consider the issue resolved. So they have no beef with them as long as they return their spice.
Yeah.
And Sid tells them they don't actually have it. And that's when
we could get it.
Yeah. But the Pikes also threaten to kill them first, and the puncher says, "But we know where it is. We can recover it."
Whoa, hold on a second.
And he tells them to retrieve the spice and leave Omega as the hostage while they're getting the spice. That's when the Bad Batch refuse, and the Pike leader says this is not a negotiation, and Sid asks to speak to Hunter and the Bad Batch, warning them that if they don't lower their blasters, it will be fatal consequences. And she convinces Hunter to let her handle it. So they take care of that. And Sid walks with them later and tells them they didn't really have a choice there. She assures the clones that Omega will be fine with the Pikes as long as they return the spice. Tech informs the group that the creatures in the cavern were Earlings, and explains that they're nocturnal insects with visual sensitivity to thermal registers. He advises them to strike before nightfall, so that it's still light out a little bit. Sid proposes that they rappel down to the cavern, locate the crates, and pull them out in one, full swoop. Sid vows that Omega will get out of this mess she created. She'll get Omega out of the mess she created. And they start going down and pulling the different. Sid warns Wrecker not to drop his torch this time, of course. They secure some crates.
They call them torches.
Torches.
That's what the British call flashlights.
Yeah.
Torches. Because I watch a bunch of British shows.
Exactly. So then back at the bar, Omega is kind of looking around, um, and Omega and Roland are there together, tied up. Omega is kind of eyeing the blasters that are sitting on the table, and Roland warns her not to provoke the Pykes because they will kill them without thinking about it. Um, and he explains that if her friends don't return with the spice, they're both going to be dead anyway.
No. No.
Yeah, Omega doesn't see them as being together, so he doesn't. She doesn't really, um, you know, want to take his word. Um, and she points out about him stealing the bar from Sid. And he replies that it's the grand way. It's you take what you want. And he says that his tactics are exactly what his mother would have done. Issa. And Omega also asks if his mother is a criminal too. Um, and talks about the world being black and white. Then Ruby runs down to Omega, and Omega strokes Ruby. Roland observes and doesn't take a liking to that he doesn't take a liking to too many people, and is reassured that Omega and Ruby are friends. Okay, and then we go back to the Bad Batch pulling the crates out. Um, Echo is warning that it's almost dark now, and that the Earlings will be waking up. Tex says that he is preparing for that possibility. And meanwhile, in the cavern, Sid and Wrecker locate the final crate and secure it. She tells Hunter to bring them up, and the pulley system brings them up. One of the cable breaks loose and falls into the cavern. And Wrecker hopes, of course, that the Earlings don't hear. But Sid isn't very trusting of that. She expects the Earlings to swarm. And Wrecker pleads for them to get them out of there. Hunter asks what's going on, and Sid warns that the Earlings are coming up upon them. And Wrecker begins to shout and shoot at the creatures. And at Hunter's signal, Tech throws this flash bomb into the cavern, creating a bright light explosion, scattering the Earlings, giving them enough time to get the two up into the Marauder and the last crate of spice. Sid reassures Wrecker that wasn't too bad, was it? Wrecker's like, because we also know that Wrecker doesn't like heights too, so he was kind of recovering from that. Later, the Bad Batch deliver the spice to the Pike Syndicate, and the Pike leader considers the matter between them and the Bad Batch and Sid resolved. He releases Omega and Ruby back to her friends. However, the leader says he isn't finished with Roland yet. And one of his subordinates forces Roland basically his head onto a crate. And Omega begins to plead for Roland's life, saying that the criminal made a mistake. Sid agrees and warns the leader that killing Roland will provoke a gang war with his mother, Issa Duran, and she urges them not to make the deal go bad and to walk away. The Pike leader, of course, doesn't really accept that bad deals. But instead of killing Roland, he cuts off one of his horns, showing mercy. He warns Roland that their business is finished and to not cross paths with the Pikes again or he'll regret it. And then Omega is consoling Roland And Roland replies, it's a small price to pay for what he's done.
Yeah.
Omega lets him keep Ruby, so she returns Ruby back to Roland. Out of gratitude, Sid offers to treat the bad batch, and she says the first round's on her, so they're getting drinks. And Wrecker also replies that Sid owes him more than that, more than a drink. Of course, Sid says, "Don't push your luck." And then Hunter and Omega are talking, and Hunter says, "Why did you stick up for Roland for everything that he did?" Omega admits that if Ruby likes Roland, then he can't be all that bad. And Hunter and Omega walk away to join Sid and the others in the bar. And that's when we see the credits again for this episode. And that gives me the question again.
I think Roland was just a spoiled brat.
A little bit. I mean, he's got a rich mom kind of thing going there.
He wanted to try his own thing.
Exactly. He wanted to get out on his own and do his, show that he knows what he's doing or whatever. So the question of the week related to this episode is, will Roland be an ally for the Bad Batch in the future? Will they call upon him to help him out at some other time? What do you think? They might. I mean, they always can use help.
If he has the connections they need, they'll use him.
Yeah, I think so too. No. I think possible. I mean, I don't know. We probably never see Roland again, but I think since they're kind of friends, I think that they may.
I think that the chopping of the horn was more hurtful because there's probably a status or shows how old you are, something like that.
Yeah, could be like that. Kind of like in some Jewish religions, like the more beard you have, the more respected you are. Kind of the same thing. Yeah. So, and that's the two episodes.
It is a crime.
Right. Exactly. And that's the episode. So, that's kind of everything we've got there. Do you have any other thoughts or anything?
At that time, if they're a crime family, would they be competitors or contributors to FET? The other guy. Oh God.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think they necessarily would be.
Guy. The other family.
The Pykes?
No.
The Hutts? I don't know.
Yeah, the Hutts.
They might be. But you also have to realize the Hutts kind of have their own territories. So these guys probably had something that was outside of Hutt territory, and would be my guess, because the Hutts are kind of like the Pykes. They don't mess around either. You get in their territory and you're hurting for a reason to stay alive. So they may be some competitors in ways. They may go back and forth on their territories and whatever. This Issa Durand is a pretty big crime lord from what I understand. She runs a huge gang across many worlds. Yeah, let's see. Issa
I thought
Durand
so too.
says here, whoops, stupid advertisements. Okay. Issa Durand was a female crime boss for the Durand family, active during the Imperial era. She was mother to Roland. Blah blah blah. And that's all it really says. It doesn't say much about her. And the Durand family was a what's it say? It was a crime family which existed sometime around 19 BB, which is 19 before the Battle of Yavin. So before 19 years before New Hope.
Yeah.
They and all it really says here is they live by the philosophy of you take what you want. But there's
Okay.
not much information about how much
Yeah.
they had or where they were and stuff like that. So
Take
anyway,
what you want. That's a good philosophy.
if you're a crime lord, I guess. All right. So the next episode we're going to review, we're only going to do one episode, and that's going to be a War Mantle. And we'll probably take some time on this one too, because War Mantle is supposed to be one of the best episodes out of that season, except for the last two that are after that. The last two are really good too. So we're going to do War Mantle, and then the last two after that are on Camino.
The last one and the last scene in the last one, it's just like, really?
Yeah,
Really?
that's the scene I think when they leave Hunter or not Hunter, Crosshair on the pad or something like that.
Crosshair on Omega's homeworld, yeah.
Yeah.
Just he can't bring himself around. I don't get it.
Yeah, he doesn't. Still doesn't believe in his team, his old team, because soldiers follow orders. So we're going to be doing that. Again, we want people to give us as much feedback as they can. We have an email called feedback@kylesjohansson.us. You can go to our website, and you'll hear the website address here in just a little bit. You can go to our website and fill out a form that you can submit feedback to us. You can go to our YouTube channel and comment on our YouTube videos. We have the ability to comment on our questions of the week also, so you can say more than just yes or no. You can make some comments. We would really appreciate your feedback so that we have some interaction between our audience, and maybe tell us that we suck. I don't know. Tell us something at least, right, Scott?
Yeah. Good, bad. I retreated. I retweeted some stuff today.
I saw that. Appreciate that. Let's
Come
hit this
on,
thing.
folks. Give us some feedback.
Yeah, feedback. All right. So are we?
Or I will start singing.
Oh, you start singing.
Oh,
So
dog.
So you're not singing is going to encourage them to give feedback.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that'll probably work. Yeah.
As Ron White would say.
Exactly. All right.
Hey,
So are we?
joke.
Uh-oh. Joke.
This is from a movie, and if you can name the movie, then Kyle will give you $1.
Whoa. I
Feedback.
don't know.
So, Daddy Tomato, Mama Tomato, and Baby Tomato walking down the road. Daddy Tomato was getting really pissed off because Baby Tomato was so lagging behind. So he walks back and smashes Baby Tomato. It says ketchup.
Ketchup. Catch
What
up.
movie? What movie?
Well, it sounds like it's probably an animated movie of some sort.
No, negatory. I'll give you the actress that said it. Uma Thurman.
Oh, that sounds like one of those Kill Bill movies.
Eh.
All right. Well,
Correct
we'll have to.
producer, correct producer and director, but before Kill Bill
Uh-oh.
and after the most bloody movie I ever seen in my life. Same director.
Oh, I thought Kill Bill was pretty bloody. You saying
Oh,
something
yeah.
bloodier?
I'm talking.
All right. Well, we'll have to wait and see if somebody gives us the answer. So
Yeah.
I can get
Yeah.
so I can give them a
initial. Yeah.
Pulp Fiction. No,
Yeah. Real winner.
no.
You owe me $1.
The I don't know. Pulp Fiction was pretty bloody, but I think Kill Bill was worse. Do you remember there's the one scene where the whole floor is covered in blood?
Yeah.
She's killed so many people. Anyway, all right. So you think we should wrap this up, Scott?
Wrap it up. Send it
Wrap it
away. Put a bow.
Thank you for listening to the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast. Please visit our website where you can play current and past episodes. That's https://RABR KyleJohansson.us. That's RABR.KyleJohansson.us. On the left-hand side is a navigation menu. You can use this to learn how to load the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast on your Android or Apple phone and tablet. And we have direct links to our podcast on Apple and Google Podcast. Please participate by connecting to our social media, answering questions of the week, or submitting feedback directly from the site. Again, all of these are available at the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room website at RABR.KyleJohansson.us. This podcast in no way is approved, sponsored, or owned by Lucasfilms Ltd., Disney, Disney Plus, or any of its subsidiaries. All opinions are solely owned by Kyle and or Scott and in no way express the views or opinions of their past or present employers. Views and opinions are not supported or restricted by Lucasfilms Ltd., Disney, Disney Plus, or any of its subsidiaries. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or any or other use of this podcast and its affiliate sites without consent of Super Duper Podcast Network and its host is prohibited. Prohibited. I am Kyle John Johansson, and this is Andrew Scott Sutton. Say goodbye now. Bye now.
Yo. Bye-bye.
Yo.
Yo.
Now I can read your shirt.